Tuesday, Board of Trustees meeting, January 27th, 2015. Call to order, roll call, please.
Madam Mayor, before we do the roll call, I'd just like to let you know that Trustee Liz Williams requested to attend the meeting electronically. We do have a problem with the phone wiring for our normal setup. I can attempt to reach her on a cell phone and see if that'll work, or if it's the board's pleasure.
Okay.
Hello, Trustee Williams?
Okay, we were trying to reach you. The meeting is getting started. Can you hear us very well?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Okay.
Trustee Williams, I'm doing the roll call. Trustee Williams,
Here.
Trustee Oscar Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Payton,
Here.
Trustee Griffin,
Present.
Trustee Rudez,
Here.
Trustee Larry Brown,
Here.
and Mayor Covington.
President, would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have here for your approval of December 9th minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Ruiz, second by Trustee Griffin. Comments, concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams, we're doing the roll call on the minutes from December 9th.
Vote aye.
Trustee Oscar Brown,
Aye.
Trustee Payton,
Aye.
Trustee Griffin,
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez,
Votes aye, Madam President.
Trustee Larry Brown,
Votes aye.
and Mayor Covington.
Aye. Approval for the minutes for November 12th. Is there a question?
Motion.
Motion, please.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Trustee Ruiz, second by Trustee Griffin. Comments, concern, input? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams, this is a roll call for the minutes of December 9th.
No, November 12th.
I'm sorry, November 12th.
December the 9th, you said?
No, November 12th. That's what you're voting on now.
Was I present there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Aye.
Trustee Oscar Brown,
Aye.
Trustee Payton,
Aye.
Trustee Griffin,
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez,
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown,
Votes aye.
and Mayor Covington.
Aye, thank you. Okay, right now we have on approved action items, unfinished business, motion approving the 2015 meeting schedule. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Griffin, Ruiz, second by Trustee.
Second.
Oh, okay. Second by Trustee Griffin. Any comments, concerns? Yes, sir?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to thank you all for allowing that schedule change, the Public Safety Committee. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Payton.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the Finance Committee meets actually the third Wednesday of each month. So I would like to amend the motion so that the Finance Committee meets on January 21st, February 18th.
Just get to the
Okay,
It's the third Wednesday instead of the third Monday.
right. I thought the last time we had it was correct.
Okay, those dates again, so
January 21st, February the 18th, March 18th, April 22nd, May the 20th, June 17th, July 15th, August 19th, September 16th, October 21st, November 18th, and December 16th.
I second.
There's another issue though, because I noticed some of the people that's on the Finance Committee is also on the Public Service Utility Committee. So I thought there was going to be an adjustment there.
Finance Committee's been meeting
Right, on
Wednesdays
Wednesdays,
now
I know.
for about a year and a half, 2 years.
So we would have to come back with this for the public, we have some idea, for the Public Service and Utilities. So we'll bring that back. Okay? All right, roll call. With that understanding that we will bring back this on the board for another adjustment of the date. Roll call. Clerk, again.
I didn't get a motion in a second to amend. You had a motion.
Second.
Yes, he
You
did.
made the motion, though?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Get a second?
Yes, we did get a second. Oscar Brown, second.
So this is on the amendment. Trustee Williams,
Parrish.
trustee Oscar Brown,
Aye.
trustee Payton,
Aye.
trustee Griffin,
Votes aye with the amendment.
trustee Rudez,
Votes aye, Madam Clerk.
trustee Larry Brown,
Both sides.
Mayor Covington,
Aye.
trustee Williams,
Aye.
roll call on the main.
Sir?
Roll call on the main.
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Trustee Williams,
Parrish.
trustee Oscar Brown,
Aye.
trustee Payton,
Aye.
trustee Griffin,
Votes aye.
trustee Rudez,
Votes aye.
trustee Larry Brown,
Aye.
Mayor Covington,
Aye.
and trustee Williams.
Go aye.
Thank you. Okay, there's here for an appointment, unfinished business, and we have to strike one part because the names are not, no one was submitted, but we did get something from the chief tonight, so we don't have all the thorough information as of yet. Until that, no, we have to wait because he doesn't have all the information. Right, from the other person. Right. So at this time, he said, the chief said that we would submit someone, but right now we're looking at, we're going to omit the new member announcement other than Mrs. Deborah Young, to concur will be reappointed to the Board Fire Police Commission. Term will expire on December 31st, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Rudez, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Milton Payton. Questions, concerns, comments? With none, roll call, please.
Trustee Oscar Brown,
Aye.
trustee Payton,
Aye.
trustee Griffin,
Votes aye.
trustee Rudez,
Votes aye.
trustee Larry Brown,
Aye.
Mayor Covington, and trustee Liz Williams.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Young. Okay, new business. First, second, and third reading of ordinance, the University Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois, approving an agreement by and between the Village of University Park and Holland LP Company. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
trustee Griffin, second by trustee Rudez. Questions, concerns, comments? Yes, sir.
My main concern is that we just received a whole nother packet here regarding this agreement, and there seem to be quite a few changes. Was it our attorney that made these changes? How were these changes made? Can somebody, quite a few of them, we're going to go over these?
They were made in conjunction with Mr. Lanier and with Mr.
Minsky.
Minsky. And there were quite a few because the original one, Brooke made several representations that just weren't accurate. And just because of timing, with us getting back and forth with one another, or, email exchanges and conversations, it takes some time. And if you want to introduce yourself.
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did review the changes, and they're basically changes in semantics and in the verbiage. There's no substantial changes as far as the terms. There are actually no changes as far as the terms. You might recall when we first met with them a week or so ago, when there was discussion of a special board meeting, or make sure it gets back on this board meeting, we agreed to give them a boilerplate from our most recent agreement, which had included TIF benefits. So some of those references were inadvertently left in the first draft. So, and then there were some things where we might have called it Howland Company, Mr. Minsky put it the company, and things of that nature. If you were to compare the two side by side like I did, you'll notice that there's no change in the terms, just in semantics of verbiage.
Or like if it was developer.
Right, we took out developer,
Right.
or any reference to developers, or anything that was referenced in earlier agreements that discussed TIF language, we removed that from the agreement. But as Lafayette said, the majority, the terms have all stayed the same. We've not changed any of the employment terms, any of the capital investment terms.
Well, just a couple of things, because I had some notes and I wanted, just a few questions, because I had not seen this evening. I see where there are some just kind of minor changes, but for example, on page 2, paragraph D, I mean, you're essentially eliminating almost 2 paragraphs there. And can you just kind of go over and explain the nature of the changes there? This is paragraph D and E that I'm referring to, page 2.
Can they be read so we know?
Yeah, I was going to say, for the audience knowledge, it says, upon purchase acquisition of the property, the company intends to purchase the property to provide for the operations of the property as a manufacturing, assembly, and office facility. They scratched out the business and make certain other private site improvements and private improvements to the property that may be reimbursed eligible cost items under TIF incentives that may be offered by the village under the rules relating to the established redevelopment projects areas within the village TIF District 2 under the Tax and Allocation Redevelopment Act 65 ILC 511-7441, which was all of that was scratched out. In pursuit to the act has authority to provide incentives to the companies by reimbursing them for certain eligible project costs arising as activities which increase the real estate tax revenue resulting from incentive activities, which was scratched. And I think this is because they were not aware of their TIF 2 area. They were not in it, correct? And there's not in the TIF area. So they were originally thinking that they were in the TIF, but they're not in TIF 2. And that's all over with. Mr. Lanier?
Actually, they are in TIF 2. TIF 2 is expired. So all of these changes are references to the Act, which means the TIF Act is short. So those are the things we scratched out, things that reference back to the TIF Act.
And when I say there's not a TIF 2, means it's not an active TIF 2. That's not
Right. I believe Will County rescinded the TIF 4 years ago.
It expired.
Yeah.
So it was over with. That's the only one to quote. There's a lot of other verbiage that's eliminated. It'll go all night.
Yeah,
Change all that.
90% of the verbiage that we eliminated or changed or crossed out was all TIF related. Or talked about a developer. We have no developer. There's no developer developing any of the property for the project. This is merely Howland coming in and acquiring a company, a building at 750 Central Avenue.
But the village says here that the village shall rebate the real estate taxes for the audience here within 90 days after the village receives at least 80% of the real estate payment from the county. It shall transmit to company the percentage of rebate which is given above agreement. They did not change any as far as the jobs. It says here they'll inform the village of any job openings within the business with a list of qualifications required to perform the work associated with those jobs. If the village residents apply for a job and are qualified based upon the written qualifications submitted by the company, then those residents will be given priority over any equally qualified candidate that is not a resident of the university of the village. In the event that the company is unable to employ persons that are qualified provided to the village either from the village residents or non-village residents, company shall transmit to the village any new sets of qualifications, and village residents shall be permitted to apply based upon the new qualifications, except for the emergency situations. The company shall not hire employees who do not reside in the village for at least a period of 14 days after transmitting to the village of the qualifications required for job openings. The company shall give priority to interviews to residents of the village who seek to apply for the job openings. The requirements to provide priority to the village residents shall be in effect during any period of time when the company shall be receiving real estate tax rebate funds. So, again, I already repeated that they would receive the 10%, the village residents from all new employment. And it goes on. So that's the main thing I'm sure the residents were concerned about as far as employment. It's one of the main topics.
Well, I mean, I'm going to vote on something, I normally like to try to at least understand from a rudimentary standpoint what I'm voting on here, and, that or have confidence that the right authorities have at least reviewed it. And my question is, have you reviewed these changes with our attorneys?
I have.
You have? Okay. All right. Then let me move on here to page 2 of the ordinance, section 5. It reads, the village attorney and the village treasurer are hereby authorized to settle all outstanding and delinquent real estate taxes and penalties on the property and undertake any and all such other matters or expenses in order to convey the property free of all encumbrances as specified with the agreement. So the settlement of all of the outstanding and delinquent real estate taxes. This is
On page 2, section 5 of the ordinance.
of the ordinance itself.
E2A.
Yeah. See, it's like a signature page. So it's section 5. It says, the village attorney and the village treasurer are hereby authorized to settle all outstanding and delinquent real estate taxes and penalties on the property and undertake any and all such matters or expenses in order to convey the property free of all encumbrances as specified within the agreement. So, I'm just wondering, what significance does that have? So if there's back taxes on the property,
No.
we need those or what? In order to convey title?
That should not be there.
Let me say that that's my standard, I drafted the ordinance, and that's my standard language that I always put in, because you do have those situations where sometimes you are trying to settle back taxes. It is not my understanding, and unless I'm missing something, that is even relevant to this, but let me say that that's my standard language, and if you would like for me to amend it to remove that, I don't have a problem with that, but there's not, I would say that it's not my understanding that that's this particular situation with this one.
So have they done title work yet? How far along the line are you on the acquisition then?
I don't think the title work's been done yet, no.
So you don't know if there's any incumbents or whatever at this stage?
And at any point that does happen, how does that affect us, and what would take place to change that or make it ratify all those changes?
Meaning if there are delinquent taxes?
Right, if it is and stuff.
I mean, then of course, we would have to work with Howard just to figure out exactly how we're going to resolve that. I don't think that is,
I'm sorry, but we can't hear you.
I don't think that that's the case, but if that, if something were to pop up, absolutely, we will be working together to resolve.
I would imagine Holland would work with the seller of the building, and it would be a burden that the seller would have to incur and not Holland.
Yeah, it's
It would be a reduction in, I would recommend Holland would have it as a reduction in their purchase price if there are fewer taxes outstanding. So we'll probably cross that bridge when we get to that, when we do the title work. Can't really do the title work until we know that
we're going to be able to move forward with it.
But normally, when you close on a property, the taxes, if they're back taxes, are paid out of the proceeds to the seller.
But I would suggest that we delete section 5 and move everything up because the village is not the seller of the property.
That's right.
I have a few other questions, so can we hold that for just one amendment then? Okay. In section 3, where it says village real estate tax rebate, I noticed that, you know, in the ordinance that I had that I reviewed, it was left blank there. It says beginning with the real estate tax year of 2016 and ending in 2016 for a total of 10 years, the village, under its statutory and home rule powers, agrees to rebate to blank a portion of the real estate taxes. Now, I'm going to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that even though it's missing, as part of the, is missing from the new one, just take the table that specifies the percentage of tax abatement. This is the estimated abatement calculation table. There's no table number, no page number.
But
But that's not in this new handout.
the new,
So am I,
no, she has here the rebate to, in the blank has the word company. The revision.
okay, but my question is how much?
Right. It
Agrees
just says
to
company, rebate to company.
a portion. Well, what's the portion? Is there a reference?
Do you mean in Exhibit C that's attached to the back of the revised?
Well, there were 3 tables here. There's exhibit, yeah, well, there's an exhibit B, C,
There's exhibit
and
A,
then
B, and
behind
C.
that, there's a table. I don't know if that's part of exhibit C or not.
It is, and I'll be honest, I didn't know those.
It is
numbers.
C.
So,
That was my question. And I have a question on it as well. I have tagged it because that was our original before we received
Well,
this.
let me get my original question is that, is that blank space, should that be referring to exhibit C, the estimated abatement calculation?
I'm looking at the same one because this says, as outlined.
Yep,
in
that's the
Exhibit
new
C.
one.
Section 3.
Right.
Okay,
It does say as outlined in Exhibit C.
Okay, so this is the, okay, all right, okay, so I didn't see it.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Now, I appreciate Holland giving our residents in University Park, priority for employment. We have this type of agreement with other companies, and when you did your presentation at the last board meeting, I mentioned that there were very few University Park residents employed there, and that there's no real enforcement. My question is, and it speaks to the, we assume you're going to do the best you can do, but failing that, we move on essentially. My question is there a provision, because I didn't see one, for documentation of your efforts? Will the village be able to work with you to audit your efforts in the event that you're not successful in hiring University Park residents? Because it is one of the provisions, I think, for default of the agreement.
I would assume we would comply with any audit requirements like we will with the state.
Okay, so for at least University Park residents, you would keep whatever necessary data there was, or the activities to try to solicit and hire University Park residents?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I noticed, and this is just, and I'll speak to it more later on, but that the agreement calls for you, after you get your rebate, to donate 2% of the property tax reimbursement that you're getting to the Technical Resource Center, with no other things. There's no provision in there to give something for our kids, but we're going to do something for this Technical Resource Center, which I'm going to address a little later on. But you know, I think that's a shame. That really should have been built in there to start off with. I'm not going to go forth and ask to amend it, because the last time we asked that to be done, we were summarily ignored. My last question is, because I was trying to determine what the benefit was for you and for University Park, and I realize this is just a 10-year agreement. If we go back to that Exhibit C, the estimated abatement on the backside of the Exhibit C, there's a table there, and I was trying to go through that table to try to understand. Okay. Yeah, I have that. I'm going to put my own stuff here. Here it is. Right. Try to find out, and let me just see if I'm reading this table correctly. That if we look down at the table near the bottom, it says abatement reduction. That we're looking at a abatement of 75% for the first 3 years, and then 90% for the the next 7 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the improvement, the assessed improvements. So, for example, in year one, it's $2,361,174. And if we take that times the village tax rate of 5.03%, that would give me the taxes that would be related to that, total taxes. From that, the 75% abatement would be applied to that?
Yes.
Okay, and so in year one, the total tax would be $125,000 on that improvement, and you would be abated $93,857, and the village would receive about $23,000. Now, what I didn't understand was the $89,157 there. In just looking at year one, where did that number come from? I couldn't determine where that number came from.
Year one, the bottom.
Yeah.
It doesn't have an identification on it either.
Right.
It just has 89,157. Everything else is described, but this one has no description.
That would be the 75% reduction.
What are you saying that is? I'm sorry?
That would
identify.
The 89,000 represents the 75% reduction of what the total real estate taxes due would be.
Yeah, well, my calculation was 93,000. If I took the 5. Oh no, I stand corrected because I used 5.3 instead of 5.03. So that's what it would be. So that would be the abatement. Okay.
And that amount assumes that we're going to be assessed dollar for dollar for the improvements that we're making. I'm not sure how that always works out. I don't know how the assessors do that. So this model that you're looking at right now, this assumes that for every dollar that we spend, that's going to result in a dollar increase in the assessed valuation of the property. That's not always the case. So this number could be more, it could be less.
Okay.
Probably would be less than it would be more.
Yeah, it would be a little less based on my calculation, but essentially you would be abated over the 10-year period using the, you got, it looks like you have a 2% escalation in there.
Yes.
And assuming that the village tax rate stays the same, 5.03, then you would be abated about $1 million, a little over $1 million, which is good for us, because you're investing $9 million essentially, right? About $5 million for $4 million, $45 million for improvements, right? Okay, all right. And the village over that time would realize about $160,000.
On the front side of that chart, like you were saying, there are no amounts in there to be determined at a later date, so we can look at the back chart and kind of estimate on that.
Yeah,
Proceed.
yeah, they have it here.
Right.
75 to 90%. So their abatement numbers, assuming a 2% escalation plus the constant tax rate of 5.03, is that bottom line number there. Right.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Just,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
It concerns basically the employment of the village residents. You announce these openings, will this go through an employment agency or do they come directly to you guys?
Directly to Holland.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
And as we presented 2 weeks ago, I mean, these jobs will all be posted online. I think
Right.
the thought process is that we're going to work with Lafayette so that these jobs get posted on the University Park's website.
Yeah.
So everybody has access to those jobs.
Right.
To the job descriptions that will be posted out there as well.
What is your time frame to doing that?
You mean to posting the
what's your-
specific jobs for University Park?
Yeah, when you announce the employment openings?
I would imagine once we purchase the building and start moving in there.
I'm Jim Terry. I'm the VP of Information Systems. Mayor Covington and I spoke about this
Go to the
at
mic, Jim.
a meeting.
If you don't mind, go to the mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor Covington and I spoke about this in meetings probably a month or so ago, and what we agreed to do is we have a website that we always post all of our jobs immediately on, and my offer was to get that link to our website on your guys' website so that anytime anyone clicked on the link there, it would automatically be taken to our job posting site so people would see it as soon as we post it.
So the residents they'll be able to access that through our website?
Yeah.
They'd be able to access it, and not only access it, they would be able to go and apply, through our website immediately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I believe at the last meeting, we also said that would allow them to apply for any job, not just a job.
Any
here.
job.
Any
Not
just no job, nationwide.
Nationwide, any job within Holland.
And if I could add one more thing. Our company is growing. We've been growing for years. We're anticipating growing for years. Railroad business is the railroad business. Our number one prohibiting factor from our growth is hiring good people. So we're always looking for people.
Yes, sir.
And while we're talking about employment, you might know that they agreed to train forklift drivers, participate in us training forklift drivers. We did note that a lot of the companies in industrial park, when they have entry-level jobs, they ask for people with the ability to drive forklifts, and that seems to be disqualifying a lot of us. So that's the hole that they're going to help us plug.
So I look at this as a partnership, so that we all work together and we find the needs that we need. We work with the needs that you guys, that the town has, and I think this is just going to be an ongoing effort for both sides.
Okay, and we did talk about, like you said, about the job training. Since that time and our economic development seminar we had breakfast last Friday, I talked to someone and I would want to get back with you. I found hundreds and thousands of dollars that they have, and we're going to work with Dr. Winfrey and from Prairie State College, and they found out about your company. He will be contacting you, and they have dollars to do training for anyone in University Park. So it won't be financial burden to you. This grant just came upon them, and I'll talk to you more about it. And it will be affordable for you and for the residents of University Park in any field. So we have training dollars. Thank you very much. You have a question?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agreement to eliminate section 5 of page 2, as we discussed a little earlier.
I'll second that motion, Joe.
Second. Okay. Section 5. Okay. Roll call.
This is the amendment, this was just to vote on the amendment?
Yes.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Both sides with the changes.
Trustee Rodez.
Both sides with the amendment, yes.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Both sides.
Mayor Covington.
Aye.
And Trustee Williams.
Both ayes.
Okay. Roll call to accept first, second, and third reading of this ordinance. We will kind of approve an agreement between the Village University Park and Holland LP. Is there a motion?
We have
We have a motion on the floor, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Both sides.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Welcome.
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington.
Votes aye.
Trustee Williams.
Both ayes.
Thank you very much.
That's ordinance 2015-05.
Zero what? I'm sorry.
2015 what now?
05.
You're fine.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you for coming back, I appreciate
Look
it.
forward to working with you.
Thank you. And I will get with you later. Okay, next call is first, second, and third reading, ordinance approving the consulting agreement phase 2 of the Golf Course Restaurant reorganization between Creative Hospitality Associates and the Village University Park, and authorizing the expenditures of the funds from the Employee Tax Expense Tax Fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second by Trustee Rudez, second by Trustee Griffin.
Question. Madam Mayor, I have a statement prepared, and I'd also like to make a motion. In regards to use of the employee expense tax, also known as head tax, and its use, we must be conscious of our business partners in this community and stick with its planned uses. When this tax was first conceived, in my mind at least, these monies were to be used to make necessary repairs around the village. Among those were street repairs and to buy necessary equipment. We have used this money for these efforts, such as guardrails on both University Parkway outside of Governor State University and the tot lot on Circle Drive, and new trucks for public works. In the future, we should use this revenue for street repairs, in particular, Greenbrier, Amherst, Abbott, and Pinot Plain.
Excuse me, sir. I'm
For the
sorry.
demolition of
Excuse me,
the
the attorney just said it should be.
No, I'm just wondering if there, because it's called for questions, if there's a specific question.
I actually am going to make a motion, and I just had a general statement about debate in regards to use of the employee expense tax. And to take the steps necessary to ensure we have additional funding sources to run our business effectively. Tonight, we are asked that we now expand these intended uses to Creative Hospitality Associates and Endeavor at the Golf Course. Although I believe this is a necessary and needed expense, I believe this is not an intended use for these funds. We need to start this project immediately. However, in the future, other funding sources should be found for this needed expense. To that end, I motion that we accept the agreement that the first payment of $11,500 come from the Employee Expense Tax Fund, that any subsequent payment to Creative Hospitality Associates be brought before the board before any other expenditures come from the Employee Expense Tax Fund for our approval, and the village manager and finance director are instructed to find other funding sources to fund this needed project.
That's your motion?
That is my motion.
I'll second your motion, trustee.
Thank you, trustee. This tax was never intended to be permanent. Oh, I wasn't finished, man. I wasn't, I just have a little bit more to read. This tax was never intended to be permanent, nor to solve every ill. This was and is a temporary measure to buy needed equipment, make necessary road repairs, to secure additional revenue streams, to replenish our reserves, and as a way to induce businesses to hire local. We should stick with this intended use.
No. Okay. Yes, sir. Trustee Milton.
Right, we're commenting on this. First of all, again, I don't know why we're doing 3 readings on something that's as important as spending, what is it, $56,000, $52,000 for phase 2 study for the golf course, irrespective of how it's being paid out. The golf course has been probably the greatest drain, non-productive drain on the village's resources since it was purchased. I know in the last 2 years it's lost almost around $1.5 million, and I'm told that since we bought the golf course, it's lost $10 million. That's a big number. Now, I agree that we need professional help, but to bring this up now without a workshop of the entire board, irrespective of what transpired in Legislative and Operations Committee. The public deserves, in my opinion, to be able to hear the debate relative to what's going on the golf course. In my review of the study that was done, they recommended that we not move forward because the golf course was in such bad shape that the fundamental things needed to be corrected before we moved on. And now we're trying to rush this thing through with 3 readings and then try to get this done in 120 days when the golf course conference manager just resigned with a pretty damning letter. So, you know, I think that we, Mayor, need to have a workshop so that the public can provide some input as to what we need to do before we go off and commit another $50,000+ on things. So I would make a motion to table this until we have that workshop and we can have that discussion.
I'll second that, and I would like to also make a comment. I was hoping, I'm sorry. I was hoping that we would have sat down and looked at the findings over there by now. I know we had the Holland project that we had here and did a presentation, and this was also on the same agenda that night, I believe. I would feel a lot better if we sat and went over what they found. There's a binder. You can't go over this stuff in no 1 hour or 2 hours. You know, there's a binder, probably a 4 or 5 inch thick binder that we need to go through. I mean, one thing I don't have a problem, you know, with reorganization of the golf course. But I do have a problem if we as a board don't know everything that there is to know about what was found. Those are my comments.
I got a comment.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for a table.
We have a motion and a second for a table. So, roll call.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Nay, for now.
Trustee Payne?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes no.
Trustee Rudez?
Votes no.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye to table.
Mayor Covington?
Aye to table.
Trustee Williams?
Yay.
Motion to table failed.
May I make
Okay,
a comment,
excuse me,
please?
excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. We had the Legislative and Operation Committee meeting. Everyone was invited to that meeting. We had Holland was there. You intervened, stopped Holland from coming. So that's why we backed up with Holland, because they were expecting at the last board meeting for us to pass that. If you hadn't intervened, we could have took care of that and had that out the way. That being said, Creative Hospitality was also at the Legislative and Operation Committee meeting. I find it very disconcerting this board can find a way to go to the meetings they want to go to, but when it was invited, everybody was invited, no one showed up. No trustees, except myself, Oscar Brown, I believe, and Joe Rudez was there. Trustee Larry Brown had his meeting, this public safety, for the past 4 months over at Thornwood House. That's fine, but he could have been here. Everybody was invited. Mr. Payton goes the way he wanted to go to, but he didn't show up. So now I find it very disconcerting that we can't move forward with what we find. Yes, it lost about $10 million. I was the only one up here that said close it. Everybody made excuses. Well, no, we need that. Well, no, we got a bond, but we got this and we got that. And you know, and it's not. We should go on and move forward with it. If they say what needs to be done, they got the expertise to do it, let them do it. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Mayor.
I'm ready to vote on this.
Okay, just a second. I have a question. Yes, I do, and trustee Milton pays that.
I have a question to be recognized.
Okay, sir.
Ma'am, I've asked to be recognized on this issue.
Okay, yes, sir. Trustee Payne?
Okay. Again, Mayor, I just want to reiterate, I think this is such a large part of the village that our community, our residents deserve a thorough airing of this. Not by just a select committee of select board members here. It should be a full-blown town meeting where that's publicized so that they know about it and they can come prepared to ask some questions and provide their input to guide this board. Again, I have no problem with using a consultant, but to rush this thing, try to rush this thing through now on 3 readings. Why do we have to do 3 readings? Why can't we do 1 reading, the first reading, and then allow for the public to provide some input, ask some questions? So, Mayor, I would make a motion to amend this to just the first reading.
Second.
Second. How they have comment?
Just go on. You know what?
Just-
You know what, though, Mayor? We're losing 50,000 per month. How does it help the whole workshops installed for 4 more months? Don't you want to stop the bleeding? Don't you know the season is very important? Don't you know we have to have progressive priorities? Don't you know the golf season is upon us, that we have a host for the university, we have a men and ladies golf team? We need to address these issues while it's the snow season, so when spring comes, we're in place. That's just my opinion. But I'll vote yes to support this issue and move forward. We cannot continue to stagnate the process and the progress of this community any further.
And you know, may I also, may I just have just a few moments?
Yes, sir. Trustee Brown?
It is looking at the finances from the golf course. The money that we lose is not golf season. It's between October and May. When we have full salaries going over, that's where we're losing our money. That's where the money's being lost. So we're making money during golf season. But from October to May, if we look, and I saw that, I sat down with Mr. Jones and looked at it, that's where our money is being lost.
And you know what, I understand, and there, I think that document was 300 some odd pages plus. I thought it was very important that we've had it over almost 2 months now. I've read it thoroughly, not more than one time. I think that we cannot continue to hesitate to do what's right. Just personally, I understand that.
Trustee, I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is, if we're gonna look at it and give it some serious consideration, that's the area that we need to make the adjustments.
Yeah, well, it appears that the restaurant, the bar side is the one that's losing the money.
Trustee Larry Brown?
I'm finished with it.
Okay.
I got you.
Echo Trustee Rudez's sentiments. We've had this report since before the Christmas break. We've had more than enough time to review it and determine its findings. The company we plan on hiring here today also was the person who produced this report. So who better to fix our problems than the people that was identified? We should not wait or delay this any longer. We should find alternate funding sources rather than employ expense tax for some that was here for roads and new equipment to pay for this service. But the one thing that I know, this service is needed. And it's needed now. It's needed before the golf season starts. And it's needed before the golf season ends, so the restaurant can turn a profit. It needs to be rebranded. It needs to be marketed. The menu needs to be updated and changed. These are all things that we need. And we have to do these things in an expeditious manner.
Thank you. I'm going to say something on this. We have had this, and they're absolutely correct. However, I've asked for I've asked several times to ask the board when is a good time to review this, and no one was available. I'm sorry, you were available. But we wanted to come as a whole. And I understand legislative committee meetings and that, but we need to come as a whole because the residents are stakeholders more than we are. It shouldn't take the 6 people here to make a determination of what your money goes to because the village actually runs this. And I see here a letter came in January 8th, Mr. Lafayette, and CC, Mr. Rudez. And I didn't get a copy of this, but as the mayor. But talking about the various issues, and it is something that we do need to address, and I think we do need to do this intelligently. Yes, we have read it, and I've asked for us to come as a whole, but the group as a whole, the entire board needs to see this. And the residents need to have an input because they're the ones that's hurting. It's bleeding the taxpayers, not just the 6 of us up here, the 7,000 people that's out there. And I would appeal to the board to please, and this is the same company that sold us those slot machines too. I noticed the same name. And then I guess they sold that company and now they went into hospitality. Interesting. But I would like to beg of the board to be on one page for this first time so the residents can please have an opportunity to do this. So I'll ask you to give us, to do the right thing right now and allow the residents to do this because we are losing a lot of money, true enough. But I appreciate what they said and what they're doing, but and that didn't go out to bid either. But we need to really consider the residents and let them have an opportunity. So I call and beg of you to make this to at least one reading. And I would really appreciate it if I had heads up on that as well, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so can we please ask for an amendment as so requested that we have first reading? The motion has been, so can we please vote on that at this time?
Trustee Oscar Brown.
A nay.
Trustee Page.
They voted on.
First reading.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes no.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes no.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye, first reading.
Mayor Covington.
Vote aye, first reading.
Trustee Williams.
Nay.
Motion failed.
Okay, so we're gonna go with this, and this one here in the future, I would really appreciate the CEO of this village to know about these, not trustee. Thank you very much. Roll call.
Made motion.
Madam Clerk, have you?
I'm sorry.
Yes, we
Roll
did.
call. Roll call.
I'm sorry. Madam Mayor, this is a roll call on the amendment, amending Trustee Oscar Brown and Trustee.
And I think,
Yes, he did.
Okay. This is on the amendment. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Nay.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye for the amendment.
Trustee Rudez.
votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes no.
Mayor Covington.
No.
Trustee Williams.
Vote aye.
Nick. Roll call on the main motion.
Nay.
For the 56, this is the call, this is the roll call that Mr. Lanier, CC, Mr. Rudez, got for the $56,000 we're getting ready to pay out to these people that gave us a terrible slot machine system and roll call. Now they're doing hospitality out there.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Nay.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes no.
Mayor Covington.
No.
Trustee Williams.
Vote aye.
Motion carries, Madam Mayor. That's ordinance 2015-06.
We're gonna get that golf course right.
Okay. First and second and third reading ordinance accepting the proposal of the Sutton Court for the purchase of the 2015 Ford Escape and approving the purchase of this vehicle from a fortitude fund. Sorry. Present, consideration or approval of an ordinance accepting this, and this is for our police department. So the purchase of the vehicle. Is there a motion? So moved by trustee Griffin. Second by trustee Rudez. Any questions, concerns?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I was looking at the proposed bids, I only saw two. How come there were not three bids for the vehicle?
You can see what that price we're getting it, so such a cheap price, we're really trying to just jump right in there and get it, to be honest with you. If we the third, we can get it, but they'll probably sell this vehicle, we have to go all the way through it to get another one.
Yeah, that was my second question. Although that did look like a pretty low price, would we lose the funds or lose this vehicle at $19,000?
We won't lose the funds, but they called today and said they want to sell this vehicle. They called later today, they want to sell that.
Yes, sir.
So help me out here. This vehicle, is it a used vehicle?
No, it's brand new.
It's brand new.
Brand new.
Then if we got a third bid and we waited 2 weeks and they sold it, why couldn't they bring in another one? And it's for police work, right? I mean, it's gonna be outfitted like a police car.
You're not gonna get it, that's the fact.
Well, can the chief answer?
I have to say, you know, the vehicle, you're not gonna get it for this price. You get three bids, I don't think the three bids will even come to this one, trustee.
We have an extremely good working relationship with Sutton Ford. They're just trying to work with us on this, and they will sell it tomorrow. Have the right words to say when I call them tomorrow.
And also understand that the funds that we're getting are from drug confiscation money, I believe it is. Season, yeah. So.
Correct.
So the full cost of the vehicle will come out of the forfeiture fund?
That's correct.
That's correct.
But it should be.
That's good.
Okay, any other questions, concerns? Roll call.
Trustee Osborne.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington.
Aye.
And Trustee Williams.
Vote aye.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance 2015-407.
Thank you. Resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and the directing the village clerk to attest to the Starcom 21 user agreement between the Village University Park and Motorola Solutions Incorporated. What this is an agreement with EastCom for our police again, and our solution is a software system that we're the last ones to be getting. We should have gotten it earlier, but this is what we need to expedite on. Any other questions, concerns? Roll call.
Trustee Osborne.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Vote aye.
Madam Mayor, that's resolution 2015-01.
Zero, I'm sorry.
Sorry, who was the motion?
I make a
Motion. Oscar the second.
They didn't add that. I think it did. Okay.
2015-0.
01.
Thank you. Motion to approve revision of H, which is.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this item.
Excuse me.
I'll second that.
Excuse me. Just a second, guys. I have not recognized that. All right.
Okay.
Purpose of motion to approve the revision of agenda item H, general public. I've stated that I feel that the people have a right to speak, and they will speak on things other than the agenda items. So I'm making a motion to vote against not allowing the public to speak on any items other than what's on the agenda. So this motion is to move it in revision so that you will be able to speak as residents and any topic that you'd like to speak upon. Okay, now is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table.
Because, what's the purpose? I need to know the
Well,
purpose.
listen, Mayor, I disagree with the decision to require residents to speak at the public forums at the end of meetings. It's completely wrong, it's bad public policy, and it needs to stop. I believe we work for the residents, not the other way around. How do we tell them?
Motion to, sorry.
All right, there's a motion to table.
We heard it.
But it's, you know, it's their residents and their
I'll second.
stakeholders. They have a
Okay, my
right.
motion to table second. Motion to second. Let's vote.
Mr.
Motion to second.
I have not recognized that. Can you let me? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Excuse me. There was a motion from Trustee Rudez. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payne.
Nay.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye to indefinitely table.
Trustee Rudez.
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes no.
Mayor Covington.
Absolutely no denying the people of the public speaking in their voice and their taxpayers.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Motion to table. Carried.
Okay, I apologize to the residents. Again, bills payable. Attached for your approval is a listing of the general operating expenses for the Village of University Park, and the following is a grand total of the everyday expenses of the last 2 weeks for January 14th to January 27th, 2015. In general operating funds, $362,379.95. Payroll fund, $12,663.26. Road and Bridge, $2,107.96. Town Center funds, $7,966.10. Golf course, $29,177.29. Capital project fund, $1,367.47. TIF-5 Raleigh Industrial Fund, $300,000 even, totaling $715,662.03. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Trustee Rudez, second.
Second.
By Trustee Larry Brown. Questions, concerns?
Question.
Yes, sir.
83849. What is G&K Services for uniforms? 699.33.
Is that the check number?
I did.
Uniforms, you said? Okay, that part,
That
please.
check number will be
Mr. Lanier.
83849.
83849.
Mr. Lanier?
Trustee Griffin, that is for the Public Works Department and our maintenance staff. But I have a meeting actually with the company on Tuesday to discuss with them about the uniforms and the cost.
All right. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And the check 83874, Low Oak Matson LLC. What exactly is that? Which particular tip is that?
It's in TIF 5 on the loan company, and I believe that their tenant is Reinhardt.
Okay, all right, thank you.
How much, please?
$300,000, ma'am.
Are we, Trustee Griffin? No, ma'am. Question right quick on that, since you said that, I'll let you do that. How current are we with our TIF repayments? I'm glad to see that we are finally paying them. So how current are we? We paying up to par?
This will be the last one for the current year.
Okay, good. We'll finally be current. Okay, Trustee Milton Payton.
Question about check 83885, a check for $18,795 to Odelson and Sturp legal fees, and I was wondering what period of time did that represent?
If I'm not mistaken, that's from inception to now, to all bills we received. To when they began.
Which is?
Middle of November.
November to?
Around the middle of November, so it looks like it would be like 2 months.
And
So That's November until
Till December?
Yes. Any other?
Yes, ma'am. One more, I'm sorry. 83910 Tyler Technologies Fund Balance Systems Maintenance.
That's our annual,
$8,137.54.
I think it's our annual maintenance fee that we pay for Tyler Technologies for our fund balance system, accounting system.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
I have something when I received notices from companies that were not paying a bill, for example, some of the bills that we're paying are reimbursable. Well, we have things like Cicero project and bypass. When we pay those bills, as soon as we pay those bills, we get that reimbursed. So can we please be up and current when we're paying those bills?
We'll try to do a better job on that.
Yes, because, you know, our engineers are we pay them and we get that money back. So I'm not understanding why we're late paying and when we're gonna get a reimbursement. That's really no brainer. Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Roll call.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Both sides.
Trustee Rudez?
Both sides, pay the bills.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Both sides.
Mayor Covington? Aye. And Trustee Rhodes?
Madam Mayor, I have a quick question. Do we have an executive session?
No. Mr. Lanier, is there? Just a second. You asked a question, let me get an answer. Mr. Lanier, is there? Mr. Lanier? Okay.
Madam Mayor, then I would like to be excused. I have an emergency situation I have to take care of right now.
Not a problem, sir.
Be careful.
Okay.
Thank you. My apologies to the public.
Okay. Board of Mayor, reports of Mayor Board trustees. Right now, before you leave, anyone on committees or commissions? You may have a report. You waiting on Mr. Lanier? Or you gave it to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I'll say it.
In case he messed up, right? Okay, Mr. Lanier, you're going to give the committee commission. Board department heads report. Mr. Lanier? She just said she gave you something to report. No, I said, and department head, please. Yes? Please, thank you.
The Village University Parks and Recreation Department wants to announce their college tour for 2015 Southern Exposure. The trip will take place on beginning Sunday, April 5th, 2015, returning Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. The cost of the trip is $300. Final deadline for payment and reservation is Friday, March 6th. There's a mandatory parent-student meeting in 90 Town Center in University Park, Illinois, Thursday, March 26, 2015 at 7 p.m. For more information, call Parks Director, Mrs. Keely Childress at 708-534-6451.
You do good? All right. Okay, trustee comments. Oh, I'm sorry, the general public, do you have anything according now, since it was tabled, denying you the right to speak on any other topic? Would you like to talk about anything that was on the agenda? Any item that was on the agenda, including the motion to... Okay, yes, ma'am. Please come to the podium.
Are we doing comments?
Yes, ma'am. And it has to be on the agenda according to the motion that was just displayed. If everyone please understand, it is something that has to be on the agenda items only.
It has to be something on the agenda. Question, how do you get something on the agenda?
Normally, you just come and speak to me, but according to the motion today, the table, it has to be on the agenda.
I see.
It's an agenda item, so you should be able to get that.
Now, I understand that one way I can get it on is through the Legislative and Operations Committee. Is that correct?
Pardon me?
The Legislative and Operations Committee, I can get it on there that way?
That's theirs. You can approach
They
them.
can, okay. When does this committee meet?
Every first Monday at 6 p.m. in the same building.
Okay.
And it's an excellent forum to have open discussion and debate for as long as we want to about crucial items related to the village.
Okay, yeah, I recall, I was at the first meeting,
Okay.
which looked like a board meeting.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Laura. I can't talk about anything because it's not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda.
It has to be on the agenda.
My name is Mildred Morgan, and just one moment.
Okay.
Okay, it is now 8:25. And the battery's running low, so we'll say good night, Trustee Williams.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night. You will.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I'm in complete agreement with the trustees in regards to the L&O meeting. I attend the L&O meetings, and I think they're very informative, and I do encourage everyone to please come out and participate in the L&O meetings, because with the hospitality, they were there. The hospitality group was there. They gave wonderful information, very informative, and I think that if the Vivian Covington, Milton Payton, and Larry Brown had been there, I think that there wouldn't have been so much discrepancy about the golf course. But as Mr. Payton stated, we have lost $10 million. It's time to stop the bleeding. At the L&O meeting, the hospitality will be just the right people from the little knowledge that I have that can stop the bleeding. It's detrimental that we stop the bleeding. We cannot go forward if we're constantly bleeding and all kinds of things is happening at the golf course, and there's a form of procrastination with the golf course and stopping it from bleeding. Everyone says it's bleeding, but no one's trying to pull out alternative. So the trustees are absolutely correct in going ahead on and moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening once again, Mayor Covington.
Good evening.
And trustees.
Good evening.
Fellow citizens of University Park. I don't know about those at home and the rest of the people that sit in the seats today, but personally,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get. Okay.
that was an insult, a slap in my face. I'm sure you knew what you were doing, and I'm sure you didn't care about it. For the floor, for the mayor, or for the come before the board, that you can actually take the time and investigate and read and get a clear understanding of something before you make a move. To say it doesn't matter that we understand, it doesn't matter that we have an understanding of what's going on, and then to further follow up on an ordinance that would give us the floor to speak as we will as citizens of University Park, to say, we work for them, they don't work for us. That was a total insult to every citizen of this village. And I hope that everybody knows who voted for that. We had 4. Rudaz, Williams, Griffin, and Oscar Brown. I want you to remember that when you go to the polls. If you are tired of what you hear, if you are tired of what you see here, if you're tired of what you see, then I urge you to vote. Don't make any excuses. Vote. And those are my remarks.
Thank you very much.
We can't do political things. We can't do political things. Let's keep it right.
Larry Wayne. Larry Wayne. Did you want, okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Sonia Jenkins.
Madam Mayor.
Good evening, ma'am.
I had the pleasure of attending the L&O meeting with Creative Hospitality.
I can't hear you.
I had the pleasure of attending the meeting, the L&O meeting with Creative Hospitality. I was in total agreement with what they decided to do with the golf course. They made sound decisions from their findings, from their report. Unfortunately, I am aware that these different meetings are made public, and if they're made public and they're announced, it's up to the residents and the rest of the board to attend the meeting. If you're not there and you don't attend these meetings, you deal with whatever decisions the trustees decide to make that is better for this community. Now, if the golf course is bleeding and we need to stop it, we need to stop it. The findings from the report that they gave, it was unreal. It was truly unreal. And I was amazed at what was going on. And if you didn't take the time knowing that our golf course is bleeding the type of money that it's bleeding and attend the meeting, it's personal. It was terrible because you represent us as trustees. I need you all to do better. And that's what I'm asking you to do.
And for your knowledge, Ms. Jenkins, it's not that we held, as I said earlier, I, as mayor, called a forum for the trustees to meet so we could collectively, everybody, to come together as a whole to do this on a Saturday. Like Trustee Larry Brown said, because it could took 1 hour or 2 hours. We needed an entire workshop. And I've asked them to do that. So everyone would have been involved, that's all. Just to let you know, we did try to do that.
Well, my question to you is, if you know that this is going on here, and it's been going on for many, many years, why would you wait for a Saturday to address it and not address it months prior to these people coming or their findings? If you've had this stated that they've had their findings for a month and a half, you've had the findings about what was going on with the golf course, you all should have went into the executive, or you all should have taken the time to do so. These are our dollars that are going to HE, and you know the rest in the half-ass. Right. So we need you all to be responsible when it comes to representing us here in this village.
Okay.
It's not personal, it's business.
Thank you. And again, I will say, when it came in December, it wasn't tallied. We did try to tally it and say we need to meet immediately. No one was available. Okay. Just to let you know, we didn't wait till the last minute. Okay, thank you. All right, that's all. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Here you go.
Good evening again. My name is Gary Richardson, 523 Irving. This is a disgrace. This is a disgrace. This is truly a disgrace of what I am watching in my village. And this is the only reason why I came out here tonight, because I've been looking at the disgrace on TV. And now I have sat here and watched the disgrace. 9 conversations up here, 9 conversations back there. Everybody's in their own conversation. The golf course issue, we're losing money, we bleed. You know what? We need to stop the bleeding. Me as a resident, it's the first I've heard about the meeting. I've had 3 events over there. This is the time of year that the golf course makes no money. We all know that, because I'm in that business. Second of all, the golf course is never open. Nobody ever answers the phone. I went to take my deposit for my daughter's Sweet 16 today, and apparently I'm finding out tonight that James resigned. Well, I don't know. So now my next question would be is, I need to talk to Paul, who I golf with on Sundays, about my deposit that I left. But the golf course is draining the village. And it is because of the leadership that is over at the golf course. It is the way the golf course is run that we're losing a lot. Okay? I went to try to do my banquet for my baseball team over there. They told me that I wasn't a resident, that my kids wasn't a resident. Well, guess what? The color is green. I don't care where you're from. If I can pay for it, we should be able to rent the place. Okay? End of discussion. It shouldn't matter. Second of all, it ain't open on Mondays when I want to go around the corner to watch Monday Night Football. So you're losing money on my beer drink. Third of all, it's the Super Bowl this weekend, and we ain't got nothing going on in our village for that. So do we blame that we don't frequent the place, or do we blame the supervision of the place? And the supervision comes down to management. Mr. Rudez, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on this one, sir, because I don't think you meant, I hope you didn't mean, that we work for you. I think you meant the opposite, but I hope you didn't. But what I want to tell all you trustees is this: you do work for us. And what happens is, when I go home and talk to my 4 votes, and the 4 votes that live on my left, and the 4 votes that live on my right, remember, you do work for us.
That's right. Thank you, sir.
And we can make that change. And we need to stop arguing, fussing, and get out of our little cliques and worry about our community. These kids need something out here. And we sitting up here want to debate over a company coming into our community, for one. We want to debate over buying another police car, but meanwhile, we're losing $50-something thousand at the golf course. What's the debate about? And this debate, we can't come here and talk to you. You work for us. Everybody here has a vote, whether if we right or wrong, whether if you right or wrong. I don't agree with everything you say, you say, you say. Half of the time, none of it. But we have a vote, and we can change you sitting there. So don't tell me I can't come here and speak on something. I came here because I heard about the trash going crazy. Well, why we can't talk about the collection of our garbage? This is our village. Why we can't talk about that I can't get salt down Irving? It ain't 2 inches to plow, but it's an inch to throw some salt. So why we can't do it? Because it's not on the agenda? What agenda is it? Yours or the community? It's the community's agenda. And that's one thing you need to recognize, the community. This is a joke. And I think we all need to get it together and start showing a little respect to one another, whether who's right or who's wrong. Because we are watching. We are watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have comments from our board. And I guess Trustee Clayton. Oh, I'm sorry, our clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Since I missed the last meeting, I really would like to wish all of you a prosperous, happy, healthy new year. And by now, I'm sure we all know that the countdown for election 2015 has begun. All of the nominating petitions are in. They have been certified to the county clerks. And also there will be a referendum of a public question on the ballot for the April 7th election. March 10th is the last day to register to vote, to be able to vote. in the April 7th election. Just want to share this with you. Voter apathy is something we should start doing without. We don't need it. It does nothing for us. We have got to remember, in a few days, we will be celebrating Black History Month. Last week, we celebrated the achievements, the dreams, the struggles of Dr. Martin Luther King and so many more. I think it's time that all 4,000 plus residents in this village make a concerted effort to come to the polls on election day. The biggest turnout at elections is at our general elections for our presidents and our governors and our state county officials. Believe it or not, electing our local leaders is the best thing that we as electors can do for our community. It says that we have the power, the right to vote, and so many people struggled and died for us to have this right. So let's all pledge one another, one to the other. Let's not only come to the polls and vote, let's bring someone with us to the polls to vote. As I always say, it matters not what your political persuasion is, who you vote for, or what your station in life is. I personally feel it's your moral obligation to exercise that right to vote. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Clerk D. Jones. Trustee Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things here. Some of it's not going to be pleasant. Just warn you ahead of time. I don't know, some of you may have seen the Concerned Citizens Committee. They put out a newsletter here recently, and they were very concerned. The chairman, Joe Lovelace, who has been one of the top landscaping businesses in the whole state of Illinois, expressed some real concern about the bidding process that we went through, where there were a number of bids, and there was one low bid from Catastrophe Solutions that was awarded the bid. Trustee Griffin told us that the owner of the business was here at University Park. Never mind the fact that they didn't meet the bid qualifications, and that the Technical Resource Center had spent $42,000 on architectural fees. And under most circumstances, you'll have your architect to sign off on it. And they refused to do that since they didn't meet the qualifications. But during that debate, Trustee Griffin said that because we noted that the address for this business, the business person, I guess, lived in University Park, that their office was up north, because that's where their business was. So sometime during the last couple of weeks, somebody gave me the address of that business, and I Googled it and found out it was a mailbox store. Had nothing to do with where his customers were. We never heard the name of the person here at University Park who supposedly is a principal in that business, but I think that's something we should find out. And I mention that because during the last meeting and the meeting prior to that, Trustee Griffin fabricated some information that or he was not in possession of all of the information. You know, initially he said and accused me because I've been critical of them voting down after they strung the developer along for almost a year for this university village development, a $35 million development that would have gone a long way to ease our tax burden. He accused me of pursuing that business and said that I was going to be the real estate agent selling the property. Never had a conversation with him about that at all. And when I mentioned that to him, then he said, well, your company is. The company doesn't even know anything about it. And if you know anything about real estate, it's your independent contractors. So that was a fabrication, just like the address was a fabrication. And then last meeting, when, again, my thing is, because I participated in a number of committees and commissions here in University Park, trying to do some good in the hood, as I say. Try to make things better for our residents and the people of like-mindedness also work with us to try to do some things, particularly on the Human Services and Special Events Committee. Last meeting, to justify them eliminating the committees, Trustee Griffin said that the reason he voted to eliminate the committee was because when we tried to feed the needy on Thanksgiving Day, that there were only 3 people showed up, which was a lie. Then he tried to tell us that the concerts at Pine Lake, there were more people on the stage than there were in the tent, which was another lie. And you can take the videotape and see it, and take a look at it yourself. He himself was there, driving the bus. I was on a golf cart with 3 other people on golf carts, bringing people from the parking lots to the tent. The tent was full. People even sat outside of the tent and in another pavilion. Now, maybe he was referring to the fact that when it just opened, there were only a few people there, but the people loved it. They loved it. So, this misrepresentation to me is pretty sad. Now, with me also, it's about priorities. I don't have any qualms about the importance of us finding jobs for people. I just am opposed to wasting the resources of the citizens of University Park on other folks when we need so much for ourselves. So when we're talking about spending, will amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars on this technical resource centers that we will have to support if they get grants from other sources, we're going to have to support people from outside of the community with our tax dollars. And I think that's wrong. Just like the GED program. The trustee Liz Williams, we spent what, $26,000 on that? We can't get our Kids Health Club finished over here that was mainly put together by volunteers. We can't finish that for our kids, but we can spend $26,000. So, we need to take a look, and that's why I wanted to have a town hall meeting so that you could participate in the golf course discussions, since it is such a big part of the financial drain on the village. It has been for a number of years. So, where should we be spending our money? On technical resources, on a GED program where you can go to 4 other places that you're already paying taxes on for a GED program? Or do you want to spend it on our kids? You want to continue to pour millions into a golf course? That's, instead of putting that money toward our children. Now let me just say this also about the golf course and this Legislative and Operations Committee, which I really regard as a separate government here. It's created to manage and circumvent the mayor's position of responsibility and accountability. That's just my opinion. I was not at that meeting. because I was at Thornwood House, working with the tenants, as we have been for the last 7 months, trying to improve things over at Thornwood House. So there was a conflict. Do we help people who, they've taken their furniture away so they can't even sit down in their own lobby in their library? Where the trash is backed up to the 14th floor? Where they're disrespected? Raw sewage backed up, drugs being sold? Or do we work with the mayor to try to schedule something where everybody could attend, including you? Now, this whole issue on the golf course is nothing new. My involvement started with Trustee Griffin on the Finance Committee. I participated in the Finance Committee for over 20 years and left it simply because it was not doing the job that it was supposed to do. But he is the guy that got me to come back to the Finance Committee. I was counseling him on the side because I have an expertise in that area. Did that in corporate life for 25 years. So when I came back, I was the one that put the enterprise analysis together to show that the golf course was losing money. After we got elected, in 2011, well, even before that, I volunteered my services to the village to help them put together a strategic plan for the golf course as we determined it was bleeding money. I was ignored. I did strategic planning in corporate life on a major level with a corporate subsidiary, very successfully. When I was elected, the mayor and the village manager allowed me to start working with the golf course. It's nothing new. We're talking over three and a half years ago. And I worked with them for months and started to put together a plan. Many of the things that were also involved in the CHA report. No reports, no management accountability, struggle, personnel, no inventory management. You know, there were some areas I didn't have any expertise in sanitation and that kind of thing that I hadn't gotten into. So I support bringing in a consultant. Now, I didn't receive any cooperation. I was doing this for nothing, using my expertise and my time to try to help this village. Because I believe that the golf course is a jewel out here in the south suburbs. And it's a crying shame that black people can't manage that. I refuse to believe that. And that's why I've supported trying to keep it and making it better. So when the opportunity came up the first time with CHA, I supported it. But now we're talking about a situation where we don't have a manager for the conference center. We're in the slow season, and yet you're going to change everything when you don't even know if you have the right people in place. Waste all that time and energy and spend $50,000. I don't care what pocket it comes out of. It's coming out of the community of University Park that we're going to pay for it, unless we're able to get some grants. So when we get criticized for certain things, you just need to understand the totality of what we're looking at here. That we're not just doing this stuff or missing things. The mayor and I were the only ones that were here earlier on when we made the commitment to listen to what people had to say. We were the only two here. I opened the door, turned on the lights. 6:30. We made that commitment, we kept it.
Is this a comment or a sermon?
Okay?
Can we move on, please?
So,
Be respectful of others that have to talk.
right. Take a look in the mirror sometime, Ms. Morgan.
I do.
Take a look in the mirror. Then you understand, when I say I'm trying to do good in the hood, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Way to go, baby.
Okay? So I say that, and you know, I know we have an election coming up. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, here that try to get people to vote. But you should take the initiative yourself and come out and investigate. you should come out and get involved with your community. You should be a part of the finance committee. We're looking for additional members for the finance committee, people who want to hold our village accountable for the money that we're spending. It's your tax dollars. It's the money for your kids' education. That's the end of my comments.
Thank you, Trustee Griffin.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like to say that Trustee Payton he's good at fat mouthing. What has he brought to this village that's been up on this board besides his mouth? Just like a baby with diarrhea, just runs off and off and on and off to you. I know what he said, I know what he did. The builder who left here and went to Robbins having a problem with him now. One, they were gonna pay him to sell that crap they were trying to dump on us. You can call me a liar all you want, I don't care, it doesn't matter. You just didn't get to stuff your pockets, period. Now, on the matter of the events, I was at those events. There was more choirs in the gospel in the park than it was people in the stands. One particular day, a few more people came by than were singers. They had more singers and stuff than residents. Yeah, I drove the bus, sure did. Doggone right. I did it for free and didn't charge them nothing. I gave up my time like you give up your time. Okay? That's right. And you always fat mouth about what you used to do. What have you done for us lately besides fat mouth? So you know, I don't even want to hear it, sir. I don't want to hear it. At the dinners, I was there at those dinners. I was there. I've seen the number of people that were served at those dinners. Brother had bought them a dinner and just give them the dinner. Because the food that was prepared was the pits. Just being honest, it was the pits. To even serve something like that, it was an atrocity. It shouldn't have been served, period. On another matter that's much better, I'd like to thank the police officers, our police department. Last Friday, they caught a gentleman that did a number of robberies. And they caught him wearing a bulletproof vest, had 2 guns on him and 2 guns in the car. This is about the 4th person that they've caught in the past 7 months. So I commend them. They did a hell of a job. On the matter of general public, I don't mind general public coming up and talk. But when they look at what goes on, when builders and developers come in and look at what's going on, and they see all this hoopla, and they got their cheering section over here, and every other community, they take care of the agenda. What's on the agenda? They take care of that. Just on the agenda. Not all that other stuff. It should be at another time. Come up and talk about it. I have no problem. No. Tonight I didn't make it because I had surgery on my jaw. Dental surgery. I'll be at the next one. I have no problem coming and talking. Certain things need to be held in a certain way. Anything except the agenda should be taken care of like we're taking care of business. Any other thing should be taken care of at another time. We shouldn't have to come up here and sit and talk everything on the head. It shouldn't be done. But as far as you coming and discussing stuff, I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. And on the matter of the gentleman who was going to do the Resource Center. He stays at University Park. How he has his business set up, that's his business. If he has stuff going to a post office box, fine. He stays across the street from me. Yes, she had him in, Miss Covington had him in the paper about a year and a half ago. It was all, hey, good to see you, hey, baby, yeah, baby. And all of a sudden, it's a problem. He can put his business anywhere he wants. He had the lowest bid. And there's some information that I got to find out to be sure. I'm going to talk about that CCC handout too, and some stuff that he has a blemish on his record. But I'm waiting to get that information, and I'll have it at the next meeting. I want to read a little something now. I'd like to address the issue of civility and respect on the board. We have a lot of serious problems to tackle over the course of the next year or so. Budget deficits, high property taxes, high water bills, boarded up and abandoned properties, economic development, jobs for our residents, youth programs. There are a lot of things that need to be done better in this town. But before we have a serious discussion about these issues that impact us, every one of us, every day, we as a village board member need to be civil and respectful of one another and to our residents. They expect and deserve better, and we need to conduct ourselves professionally. On matters of public policy, reasonable people disagree, period. We should be more tolerant of different views. It's okay, it's proper. It's the democratic process. But it has to be done respectfully. Agree to disagree, move on without anger words and admonishment. I see it, the residents see it, and it's not right. The same way we teach our kids and grandkids to be gentlemen and ladies is how we need to act up here. We set an example that I believe. Let's get the village back on course and start treating all who come here, no matter their views, opinions, with courtesy and professionalism. And I'd appreciate it. They're not here tonight. But usually when I talk, the little gallery over here, they'll go crazy. They interrupt you, say, say whatever you want to say. I don't care whatever you want to say about the previous man. Talk about it, whatever. What's going on since this administration been in, it never went on with the last administration. And we had a lot of disagreements, he and I did. But he never had what goes on in this audience there. Disagree all this back and forth and hollering and doing whatever they want to do. McCowan never did it. I commend him. Those are my comments. You have a blessed day, everybody.
Trustee Barrett.
Oh, okay, Mayor. I'll try to be as brief as I can, but I think these are some very important points that I'd like to just discuss. Read over some of my notes. I disagree with the decision to require residents to speak at the public forums at the end of meetings. It's completely wrong, it's bad public policy, and it needs to stop. We work for the residents, not the other way around. How we tell them to speak about what's on the agenda only after we've already voted makes no sense whatsoever. I've asked you not to make it go forward anyway, but you decided to go forward anyway. It discourages residents from speaking their mind because it tells them that their opinions don't matter, and that is completely wrong. Residents don't come here to be dictated to or to be told their opinion means so little that they can only speak after the votes are already taken. They come here to participate in the decision making, and that's what I want to hear from the residents before I vote, not after. It's bad policy and it needs to be corrected, and I will vote yes to move the public section up before the new business. On the second note, we're going to talk about political venues. I will not vote to allow the public forum to be a political campaign venue. Political campaigns and campaigning belong in sponsored debates, campaign flyers, and political newsletters, not here at a public forum. Taxpayers are paying attorneys $150 per hour, and employees and light bills. And the public doesn't want to hear politics up here. They want to hear about how the village is being run, not how political campaigns are being run. There must be a clear line drawn between politics and public policy. And the public is not going to allow you, Mayor Covington, or your surrogates to come up here and advance any political campaign on the public's dime.
That's right.
I will support a motion that moves the public forum to the beginning of the meeting related to agenda items. The sanctity of the public forum, though, must be protected from politics and limited to matters of health, safety, and welfare of the community agenda items. Mayor Covington, you already published a political newsletter with Mr. Joe Lovelace. It came to my home the other day. Everybody knows it's your campaign publication, and that's okay. Mr. Lovelace is your campaign's official notary. He has signed every page of your petitions. I'll leave them here for anyone who wants to view. That's the proper form for politics. You pay for it, and you get to say anything you want, true or not true. But that politicking can't happen here at a taxpayers funded public forum. The public forum will not be a political forum and needs to be protected from politics. And those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Trustee Larry Brown.
Believe it or not, I have no comments tonight.
Oh, wow. We have a quorum, sir. I'm sorry. Both of you can't leave. You have to have a quorum. Trustee? Okay. Okay, I guess it's my turn now. I have good news to tell everyone. The high-speed rail, listen, we have our reports as well as comments. The high-speed rail, I received a letter. Mayor Covington, please join us in Springfield. And we're having, and I'm really happy that we have this company here today. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. That's okay. I respect you guys. Railroads has always been played as an important part of the Illinois economic and importance in growing. In the last several years, Illinois has made significant progress. And this is the Midwest High-Speed Rail Association, and they're talking about some of the things that have already been done and put in place. And we're happy to know that our rails are already done. So I appreciate that, and I've been participating in that for the last 3 years. Also here, we have Pine Lake. I'm very, very happy to tell everyone in the Village University Park that that OSLAD grant was done and approved. I signed the paperwork on that last Friday. And estimated cost for our engineering is $45,280. The CAP report cost is $5,000. Our development cost is $399,720, totaling of $450,000. And I'm very happy to see the percentage of our fund assistance is up to 50% or 90%. We have just received this money, and this will do a renovation of Pine Lake. Our whole gates will be improved. It's going to be a beautiful vineyard for our people to go to. And I'm very, very proud that this grant came through. We had another grant last week of $10,000 for Metra, RTA. We had another grant that's going to help us do training in the Village University Park. So it is moving, and I am working towards that with the board and their approvals of things. And as far as, and I would like to speak to a little bit of the issues that were here. As far as the food that was served on Thanksgiving, that food was great, and it was catered. Maybe we didn't use Trustee Griffin's catering, but we did use a catering company, and it was great, and the people enjoyed it, and I thank God for that. And it's another thing about the board's vote. We're here to do what we have to do for you. I did not, this agenda was, if you can remember, this agenda was already done, and I did not set that one as far as where the vote is. People want it in the front, they want it in the back. It doesn't matter where it's at. It's supposed to be an opportunity for people to speak freely. And whatever way you want to say it, everyone has their own opinion. People talk, and it's okay. They have a right to talk whatever they want to say. It's not necessarily for me or against me. It doesn't matter. They sit up here and they talk against me and for me. And as far as Al McCowan, it's interesting that Trustee Griffin would say that. I supported him as well when he came to that very podium and was very upset with Al McCowan. And people did the same thing. It's not changed, it's just a female sitting here. And as far as Mr. Lovelace, that is CCC, and that's him since 1991. He had that, and there was a lot of people here in this very area that was supportive to that. So I will not give energy to negativity because I know who I am, whose I am. And I was looking at Selma again, and I must say that when Mr. Wallace, Governor Wallace, said to the President of the United States, Lyndon Johnson, oh yes, get your gift, trustee. He said to him, what do you care what they think? And the president said, but what about your legacy that you're going to leave behind? What about what the people are going to say about you? He said, I don't care, and you shouldn't care either. So we should care about our legacy and what we're doing here. We're here for a purpose. And it's going to be an ugly thing here. It's a lot of things I see that's illegal that are happening in this village. And I, as a Democrat, for all the years that I've been on this earth, and I will remain a Democrat till the day I die. And I thank the people in University Park for your time, your efforts, and understand, keep it real. And at this point, I would ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Griffin, Trustee Red. I'm sorry, and second by Trustee Larry Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and have a well day. Be well.